Hello. It's just you and me. Maybe everybody's working this week except us two.
No, I was working, but I just
And
finished with you.
John, you're a funny guy because you have no gig and you never come to our happy hour. Now you have a gig and you come to our happy hour. You're muted, John. You're muted, John.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Eric.
I'm actually on time today.
It's unbelievable. Patrick Whalen. John, did you figure out how to work your mic?
Yes.
Ah.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to see
Hey,
you.
John.
Hey.
We need to get Patrick Whalen some front light.
Mm,
You know, this is intentional because this really is like my sexy look right here. Dearson can go along with this. I mean, you know, we got to keep it subtle. Otherwise it becomes a distraction for the whole conversation. And I can't have that.
It's not easy
That's
looking
true.
like a thumb on top of shoulders.
Dude, I mean, when you're an Adonis, you just have to live with it every fucking day. Right, Patrick?
mm.
It's hard. Struggle's
That's-
real.
That's so obvious, Patrick.
Dearson, where's
So
that?
obvious that's
Where's
what
that
you're telling me.
telescope pointed?
Yeah.
It's so I could read the menu at Carbone. It's actually pointed over at McCarran Airport. We were looking at something the other day. There was a disruption over there. So,
What was that?
some guy didn't like his baggage fees and was literally threatening to blow up the airport.
What?
Swear to God.
I mean, trust me, I understand. I get it.
That's exactly
You know,
what I said.
I've thought about that a few times, but I never really acted on those thoughts,
Yeah,
you know?
He threatened on blowing it up and doing some sort of active shooter.
So did they put him someplace special? Does he get like extra gambling chips for the inconvenience, or how does that work?
I don't know what they call gambling chips over in that special hangar over there, but there is a special hangar that people get brought to.
Yeah, and it's got a little board, some water, a couple of rags, you know, the usual.
It's not waterboarding if you use diesel, my friend.
Oh,
The secret of the pros.
What are those what are the planes called that go to Area 51? Janet. No.
The Janet projects.
Yeah, Janet, right. Is that what the planes are called? The ones with the
Yeah, the red stripe.
red stripe? Yeah. Do
Yeah,
they
they're
still do
great.
that?
Yeah, they're
Is
right.
that still a thing?
Yeah. Yeah, there's two of them there right now.
Really?
I mean, it's the commuter bus for all the workers up there. So it's flights all day long. I just see them going by. It's
And you've
Really
never
high.
run into any of those workers like at the wait a second, I gotta think of what it's supposed to be called. The circle bar?
now.
I got in trouble for calling it the round bar last week. I apologize.
If
Shame
you
on me.
approach anybody on that road going in and out, it's pretty unceremonious.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't want you speaking to anybody.
It's like the worst kept secret ever, really.
It is very much hiding in plain sight, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was funny when during the initial big riots that were happening here. One of the nights they started at the south end of the strip. It was a whole BLM thing, and they kind of sanctioned them to stay down there. And then they decided that at this time, we're now going to move north through the strip. And this was after they destroyed downtown. And we were about 3 or 4 days from reopening the casinos. And the Metro Police blocked the street at whatever, Sunset Road or Russell Road, whatever it is. And basically said, you're not coming past the Luxor. Like, it ain't happening. You're not rolling up here and setting fire to the casino valets. Like, go fuck yourself. And so they pushed back and started fighting with the cops. They fired tear gas, and the only place to run was down the road directly to the entrance of the Area 51 employee parking lot.
oh my God.
We're like, this is about to get real spicy really quickly.
Oh my God.
All the guards came out, with rifles and, just stood there going like, don't even try it because we don't care what your cause is. This is
We had another one of those, those crazy only in Miami sort of events at the Miami airport the other day. I don't know if you guys
the
saw that
fight.
one on the nose. Yeah, that brawl in the Miami airport.
That was amazing. And that went on for like 5 minutes before anybody showed up.
Well, I mean, security guys were just like standing back going, I ain't getting involved.
Yeah, you got to
You
let
know?
them finish.
Yeah, I mean, finally, I think just some passengers jumped in and went, hey, hang on here. Because there was like guys punching girls, and
Yeah, that thing was pretty wicked. I saw that on the news here.
I think it was Spirit Airlines again, wasn't it? Like that's usually what it is when they go, oh, we got no more room for baggage.
That's why I don't get an
Started
aisle
flying.
seat in Spirit Airlines, because I hate having to push the plane back.
Mhm.
There's very few things that I really draw a hard line on, and flying Spirit is one of them. I just don't do it.
Agreed.
I choose not
You
to.
should cross JetBlue off that list too, because I flew back from LA JetBlue,
Yeah,
and there were these crazy hoodlums on the plane.
really?
And oh yeah, and the guy
What?
behind me started mouthing off like
To you or to the
nonstop.
flight attendant?
He was shouting in general as we were trying to
Oh.
exit. He's like, everybody should get the fuck out of my way. I have no bags. I should be able to just leave the plane. Everybody get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
And I
Pardon
stood up
us,
right
we
in front
didn't
of
know
him.
we were in the presence of royalty, right?
I stood up in front of him and was like, you got to pipe down, buddy.
Hey,
And
Chris, just
yeah.
here, I can save you a lot of headache. Take one restaurant off of your list each week, and you can fly first class anywhere in the world you want.
you don't know what my weekly spending is on restaurants, buddy.
Have an idea.
Yeah. Actually,
You just
most
pick
of
the
us
most
do. Most of us
expensive-
do, Chris.
You
Wait,
pick
raise
the
your
most
hand if you
expensive
don't
meal.
know what Chris's restaurant spending is. That'll be a smaller list.
I've narrowed down the clientele on Southwest and Spirit Airlines as they are, in fact, all the people that spit their gum into a urinal.
Oh,
The-
no.
Those are the general clientele. It's that
That's
level.
probably fairly true. Spirit
Hey,
not only is it like so terrible and the experience and all that stuff, but I've literally seen one plane crash in my whole life, and it was
Spirit
Value
Airlines.
Jet, which
Oh.
became Spirit Airlines.
Spare.
I lived in Pembroke Pines, and it literally crashed like in the swamp, 2 miles behind my house.
Mm.
So
Good day for the alligators.
yeah, that's sort of enough of a warning beacon for me to not fly that airline.
I had a
remember
tour
that- I
that
remember
flew
that
Spirit
crash.
twice, and like one of the wheels broke. We had to wait for 2 days while they were, going to send a new wheel in from wherever they bought it on eBay. And so we wound up, thank God, having a great travel agent that quickly switched us. And then that was my last Spirit trip ever. But yeah, they were like, yeah, it'll be done in 2 days, and we'll be, back up and ready to go.
What about the
Where
one where
was
they
that?
have like a devastating problem,
Like Kentucky or something.
and then they come back on and go, no, we've decided it's okay now.
Yeah, the gas
Wait a
gauge doesn't
second.
work, but yeah, we're good.
Yeah. We think we can get by with the other one. We've still got the spare.
Are there any private pilots on the plane here? I mean, don't worry, but we're just asking for a survey.
Yeah, that's funny. That's hilarious.
Allegiant is not exactly my favorite either.
Yeah, that's another one. That's
It's
next.
a
can't
big
say I've
one
done that
from
one.
Florida, but I don't like it.
They
I've
have
never done that one.
in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is my closer actually to my house airport than Newark, because it's out in the countryside. They fly Allegiant there, and I've flown them a couple times, but it's always, it's similar to Spirit, where it's a little bit scary, and you're like, these seats are
Yeah.
plastic, and the overhead bins are like falling off, and
Speaking of scary travel, has anybody noticed that Marcia Stern is in a car instead of her house this week?
oh my
I
god,
am.
Oh,
I am
boy.
actually sitting in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've just booked a hotel for the night, and I zoom in. Ah! I have no idea what just happened. Clearly, I have music happening here.
Hopefully you're pulled
Um,
over.
Hang on, let me get off. Are you guys still there?
Mhm.
We are.
Can you hear me?
We're here.
We
Yeah.
can.
Okay, I obviously am not very good at doing this from my car, But hello, everybody.
Hey.
Hi.
And
Where are you
I'm
headed?
saying hello, and I'll sit in for a little while and try to get rid of the other sound that was happening. I don't know what that was. I think it was Dixie Chicks. But I'm driving up to the Catskills, y'all.
Go
There you go. Cool.
for fun or pleasure or
I
work.
hope to be up there. I hope to be up there by Saturday afternoon, maybe Friday if I push it. But I've got a really cool meeting tomorrow morning with someone I haven't seen in 49 years in Raleigh.
Jeez.
Cool.
So it was someone who, you know, sometimes in life we get a little introspective, and I guess what going through this whole pandemic and, you know, reconciling, you know, things I did for a webinar in the fall and my upcoming 50th high school reunion, I started thinking about someone who made a difference in my life back in '72 at the
I don't even
Democratic
remember
National
anyone
Convention.
from.
I think I showed you guys the little donkey pins and stuff a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah.
I'm seeing Rufus tomorrow morning for the first time since 1972.
Who is it?
Awesome.
Shite.
Wait, who is it?
Rufus Edmiston, he was Senator Sam Ervin's aide in '72, and he was on the Rules Committee of the convention, and I drove him around during the Democratic National Convention in Miami Beach in
Right.
1972.
Good times.
So it's like completing a circle. It'll be kind of cool. And then onward and upward to my house. Yay, next week I'll show you my mountaintop view, guys.
Yeah.
Woo.
Steve Warren, welcome back.
That'd be superb, man. I'm just loving what Marsha's telling me, man. I wish I was with you.
Hey,
Facing your
Steve.
passenger seat? Yeah, sounds good.
Oh,
What you
that
been
was-
up
hey,
to?
Steve,
You've been
look-
gone for a
look
couple
who's-
weeks.
Look who's in the car with me. You probably remember Chadsworth.
Yeah. You gotta have some company. Ah,
You know, someone's got to protect me when I'm alone on these roads, right?
You need some traveling companion. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good. No, I was just off with a bad back last week. Marcel, maybe I was just hiding after what I said about, was it Prince Philip? I thought, oh my God, that was a little bit harsh. That's the trouble when I come on, you know, because I'm sort of several of these in, and you guys are still in your afternoon.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You were a little bit
Yeah.
hostile towards the Royals.
Well, not the Royals, but him in particular. I suppose he did come in for a lot of flack for, you know, there were some really racist comments. It's still going down in the papers. You know, there was some petition going off today because one of the papers was saying, well, he was only joking. But of course, the people who are affected were quite upset. So, but he was born in a different time, you know, and he did a lot of good.
Well, that's what I was
did a
going
lot
to
of good
say.
work.
That's what I was going
Yeah,
to
it
say.
was-
Like, I mean, it doesn't discount anyone speaking that way, but almost everyone over the age of like 70 or 75 grew up at a different time and using different words. And, you know, I remember a time, and I might have already mentioned this story to you guys at one point, but when I was dating my ex-wife 30 plus years ago, I visited her in Chicago, and I didn't really know Chicago people that well or anything, but I went to her grandmother's house for dinner, and she's Polish. She calls her babcia or whatever. And so I'm over there for dinner, and she starts telling me a story about her going out to a restaurant or something. And then she goes, you know, and I went to park my car, but the nigger told me he had to take my keys. And I said, excuse me, like I almost spit the food out on my plate. I apologize for using the word, but I'm telling the story. And she repeated herself. I was in shock. And, you know, my ex-wife is like, you know, I'll tell you later. And she's like, you know, she just talks like that. That's how she grew up. I mean, she's passed away now. She would have been probably, you know, 100 plus years old now, but it's still shocking when you hear it coming from a little tiny, wonderful old woman. It blew me away. I mean, it just completely blew me away.
Yeah.
And it
so
wasn't the only
old.
time I heard that.
You know, Marcel, I'm so old. When I was a little kid, there were not black people, they were Negroes.
Really? Wow.
They had not created the terminology of black. That didn't come about until the 60s.
When I'm so old, when I grew up, there were no black people. I was in Western Canada. And
You were in Canada, really?
we really didn't have any black people. There was one kid that I knew. His name was Randy Gore, and he was he was black, but he lived. He basically was the whitest black person I've ever known. You know, he played hockey, put it that way, and so yeah, I mean, you know, it's very different now. Obviously, there's diversity everywhere, but you know, I grew up in a very whatever the opposite non-diverse place, and you know, I didn't know anything about Jewish people either. Like I remember, I when I went to work for Martin, there was a guy named Paul Reiner there who was Jewish, and we went to Pleasure Island one time, and I go, "Wow, she's nice looking," and he goes, "Ah, she's a Jap," and I go, "What's that mean?" And he goes,
Jewish American
you don't know,
princess.
yeah, you don't know what a Jap is? And I go, no, what's a Jap? Like, to me, a Jap is like the enemy
Like an Asian person?
in 1941, you know? And he goes, no, Jap is Jewish American princess. And I go, how can you tell? And he goes, you can't tell like Jews from non-Jews? And I go, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. Isn't it a religion? And he's like, come on, Marcel, smarten up, you know? I mean, I had no idea the difference. Like to me, you know, I'm still this way today, black, white, green, religions, I don't care. You know, good people, bad people. There's two types. Good people.
Although I will say that Marcia and I are the anti-Japs in this.
Are you?
group.
Oh, totally. Totally. Although I was bat mitzvahed and I can do all the religious things if I have to. Being a Jap is not that at all. Being a Jap is like, did you ever read the book Bonfire of the Vanities or see the movie?
Yeah.
And do you remember
From the princess part.
the Park Avenue ladies, the X-rays, they're Japs. They were like wealthy and princesses, fucking princesses.
Yeah.
Jewish American princess. That's what it's all about. A
Marcia,
privileged upper
Marcia,
middle class.
They're Jewish, like don't wear white after Labor Day Jewish.
Come again?
They're Jewish, like don't wear white after Labor Day Jewish.
That's correct. That is absolutely well, Patrick, you're a Long Islander. You would know.
Well, and I remember
how is that?
then I worked with Joe Zamor, and Joe Zamor would take you know, the Jewish holidays and Christmas and you know, all of the different religions. He'd take all the holidays, and I was like, Joe, what is this? Like, pick a fucking team and stick with it, you know?
Oh no, Joe's the perfect. But Joe's the perfect New Yorker. We're totally unilateral all across the field.
When it comes to holidays. You know,
Honey, everybody's
Joe's the only guy that took the lolly
No,
off.
it's legit, Marcel.
That's
It's
so
legit.
funny. That's so funny.
Hey,
Matt
Patrick, are you
Kaminsky.
still in Texas? Are you still in Texas, Patrick? Or are you back home? I can't
No,
see.
I'm home.
How was the shoot?
It was great. Yeah, it went very
Pretty
well.
picture you posted.
Thank you.
Matt, where are you?
Cyprus.
You made it.
Ooh,
Nice.
you
Oh,
went.
shit, you're here.
Matt
I
wins the prize.
literally-
Furthest distance.
From quarantine?
I literally just got here. It's been a hell of a 24-hour travel, let me tell you.
Did you get like all cleaned up on your hair, or is that just like hat head from being on a plane for 24 hours?
No, I didn't head it. This is 36 hours of not showered.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Thank God
So
we
your
can't
hair's like
smell.
glued to your head.
Well, I can't I'd love to shower right now, but they're gonna come and COVID test us in a minute. So I gotta be like,
So how was it, Matt? Like how was all the COVID protocol and all the bullshit of traveling there?
well, we had an issue right off the bat, was when we flew out of Newark and they checked us in. I got upgraded to first class. I was like, fuck yeah, this is gonna be great. And then they routed us Newark to Amsterdam, Amsterdam to Vienna, Vienna to Cyprus. But because of, I forget the name of it, but because of the EU, what is that? The Shanghai or whatever, ShamWow or whatever the
Schengen, the Schengen visa.
Schengen, yeah.
Schengen.
Yeah. That. Sorry, I haven't really slept. So, but because of that, they cancel. They're like, you can't fly because you can't go from one EU country to another and then to Cyprus. So then our travel agent had to scramble. So they got us on a later flight to London. So we flew to Heathrow, then Heathrow to Athens, and then Athens to Cyprus.
Oh God.
Yeah. But
Brutal.
It was brutal, but I had all my proper, we had to get a COVID test, a PCR test 72 hours before flying / arriving. It was very confusing. We had to do all these health declarations. But
did you get upgraded the whole way or just to
no, just the London, and then they put us in, steerage, but but it was, they had separation. There was enough empty seats that, like 2 people would sit, like one would do an aisle, one would do a window, no middle, wearing a mask the whole time. I mean, it was brutal, but it was fine. The worst part was the 5-hour layover in Heathrow, which kind of sucked. But, we landed at 10:30. It's now midnight here. But we landed at 10:30 and we went through COVID protocols at the airport. They tested us there. We're going to get tested again. And then then we board the ship on the 30th. And then there's 14 days of quarantine in a room on the ship. And then we get to go to work. So it's interesting, but
so does everyone gets their own cabins at least? That's good news.
True.
So Matt, are you designing the live show then for the ships, or?
I'm doing, so I don't know if anyone knows Al Crawford. He's a pretty big lighting designer in New York. He's the lighting director for Alvin Ailey Dance Company. He has a great company. And he's working with RWS, who's the producers of these shows on Celebrity. And he asked me, him and I got really close the first time. This is the ship I was on when lockdown happened.
When shit hit the fan.
And I was working with, and I was working with SIBO at the time doing the entertainment stuff. So that giant chandelier. This is 7 shows in this venue called Eden. It's a restaurant bar with a live show with aerialists and whatever. And it looks like the Garden of Eden. And I'm going to be designing 7 shows in a month on this, and then I should be back in the middle of June. So,
well, so do you have to use what they have on the ship, or can you have stuff brought in?
It's all brand new stuff. This is a new build ship, so most of my rig is Mac, their Quantum profiles and Aura XBs, basically.
Nice.
So
nice.
No elation.
And the best part is you're getting paid.
Yeah. Paid is good. Unemployment. I don't need unemployment for 5 weeks.
Yay!
It's amazing how many people are
going to come visit me in the mountains.
Absolutely. Are you back in New York?
I'm on my way. I'm in Raleigh.
Nice.
It's amazing how many people are working now all of a sudden. I've been talking to people all week who are like, I'm doing so many shows, I can't keep up.
It's great.
The thing that was the hardest was wearing a mask for, the 7-hour flight across. Basically I've been wearing a mask for 36 hours except to eat. So it's been weird, but I'm happy to work. And, I got my notification just as I got in my room that this was starting, and I was like, I got to say hi. So hi.
We appreciate you jumping on. Gumper.
How's it going?
Do tell. Hey, Gumper fresh off 50,000 people at an EDM festival.
It was only 45,000, and we don't talk about that number.
Hey, that's over 2 days though, right?
No, that was each day.
Oh, was it?
Really? No, it wasn't.
Yay. No, it wasn't.
Yeah. It was awesome. It was, walking down the moat to front of house. Yeah. Walking down that moat to front of house. God, I miss that fucking feeling.
Yeah.
Hey, remember when we all talked about the test run they were doing with a large event in Europe? I think it was in Spain and Barcelona, and the results came back from it very positively. Out of however many tens of thousands of people, I think there were 6 reported cases. It was very successful, so it bode very well for our industry.
Yeah, the good news about this one is it was Dallas in Texas. So luckily they don't give a fuck down there.
Yeah.
And as far as the client and promoter went, they took every precaution possible. There was a lot of pushback from the state to not have anything.
Yeah.
But we had our COVID dogs there. There was testing. They used the Clear app. So there was a lot of stuff that made it safe.
Did people have to get tested or do anything to get into the event, or?
So everyone coming into the event had to use the Clear app, take a health survey, show a clean pass. Vaccination cards were allowed to be entered in there, but the state had a big pushback on that.
Why?
What was that?
I said why, but I withdraw the question. It's not relevant.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
UFC, I don't even think they don't want the Clear app.
Yeah, so basically, there's a lot of pushback from states like Florida and Texas where they just want to be open. So,
yeah.
My friend Alex Gagnon worked that EDM festival. She was posting some stuff.
Yeah. It was, I mean, listen, we took the right steps to make it safe. You know, in whole, there was a few, you know, we did prevent a few people from coming in. I can't get into exact numbers, but there was, you know, 3 different stops of people going in between drugs and firearms and dogs for COVID and everything.
Yeah.
Turning away people with firearms must be fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's always a fun thing, especially in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. In Texas, it's like wearing a watch.
It literally every single car pretty much had one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but
it's
people were probably pretty friggin' happy to be back at a live show, huh?
Every single person.
A live show.
There,
it's an EDM show. I don't know if that's called a live show.
Listen,
or
it was a big iPod, but yeah.
Well, there's human beings in mass quantities, so that qualifies.
The energy of the crowd was one of those things that I have missed, and it was awesome to be in front of again.
Yeah.
Thumper, what did you do for the festival?
Structures, lighting, video, and COVID sniffing dogs.
So you did everything, basically.
Basically.
Can the dogs also find weed?
I lost you there. What?
It's
Can the dogs also find weed?
They do have. We didn't do the drug dogs, but they did have dogs there for, you know, pills and weed and.
Thumper's dogs ain't no snitches. Shut up.
Yeah,
no, I'm not saying snitches. They were just grabbing him a stash, you know, hooking him up.
The drug
you
dogs were pretty awesome. They were.
Give me the weed. And
they were finding stuff like. Yeah, they found a whole thing of pills in a peanut butter jar that was sealed.
Wow.
Like
yeah. Well, because everybody brings peanut butter to a concert.
Well,
right?
Hide their drugs.
When they were,
apparently the only thing that can throw those dogs off is pheromones from a female dog in heat.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that can throw them off.
Why do you know that?
They were on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, shit. Now we're got to find a female dog to
really.
cover her scents on all the drugs.
The next time we go to a concert, we'll be looking out for the person carrying with the German Shepherd behind them, right?
Yeah.
These people are all amateurs. What I do at every ultra is I go to the site 2 weeks prior, and I get one of those burial tubes. You go with
a hole.
It's supposed to be spiked out. You dig a hole, you dump it in there. You come back 2 weeks later, you're already inside, good to go.
Well, wouldn't you think it would be a little weird if you whipped out a shovel and just started digging in the middle of the field?
When I'm at a concert, I just think I'm doing my thing.
And then you find the porta potty directly on top of where you buried it.
That same thing. Damn it.
What if a subwoofer ends up on top of it?
You think a festival porta potty has stood in my way in the past? You're out of your mind.
When I was in high school, we used to go to this place called Pirates World. It was an amusement park, and they had concerts, like the best fucking concerts you can imagine in 70, 71, and 72, and in the early 70s. Like, you name the group, they played there. And we would do the same thing. We would take our stash of pot, bury it underneath the chain link fence, go into the park for like $5, ride around the rides. When it was just time to go to the concert, we had our tickets, which were like $5 to see Jefferson Airplane, go and unbury our weed and go in and just get blasted.
Nice.
Seems like a lot of work.
It's a lot of work to get fucked up, Chris. It's true.
Yeah, like that's a lot of work as opposed to just paying premium dollar when you're inside for somebody else who did it.
Yeah.
Gumper, did you do the production design or did somebody else?
Mactiv actually did the production design, and then they did concept drawings, and then we took it into reality.
Yeah, it looked awesome, man.
It
I mean,
was-
I'm not an EDM guy, but the stage looked
Yeah.
great.
And it didn't rain on you or
I
anything.
definitely gave them a pat on the back. Yeah.
That picture you posted was really good looking. It was.
Gumper,
was-
I gotta ask
There
a
was
question.
a lot of pictures.
I gotta ask a question, and this will obviously show my limited design knowledge, but why are EDM shows always so friggin' two-dimensional? Like it's a flat wall of light blasting you.
Oh no, that one had a lot of depth to it.
Did it?
Yeah, you just couldn't see it because
Oh,
the
yeah.
way you're looking at it on the 2D screen is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
was like, it was a really intricate design. There was a lot of curves and shapes. and-
Jumper, you need to get one of those little 3D cameras so you can videotape it in 3D.
Exactly.
I mean, Marcel, you got to make an iPod look interesting for 50,000
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I had Mark Brickman on my podcast. He said something funny is he goes, one thing I don't get is these EDM festivals. And I said, why? And he goes, because if I'm standing there on Molly, the last thing I want is 8,000 lights blasting me in the face like this all night, And I'm like, yeah, you got a point. Made sense.
It's fairly dreadful.
Yeah, I would expect. I would expect. What is Molly, anyways? Is it like some kind of horse tranquilizer or something? I don't even know what it is.
Like
I'm
MDA.
showing my age.
It's ecstasy. MDMA.
Ecstasy? Oh.
Ecstasy.
Just another word for ecstasy.
Oh, okay. They gave ecstasy a new name, and ecstasy
Nickname.
is MDA from
MDMA,
like the
which
80s.
is.
Well,
which
what's the
is
difference
kind of
between MDA and MDMA?
MDA is Mary Don't Ask, and MDMA is Mary Don't Ask with morphine.
Ah,
Oh.
sounds fun. Sounds wonderful.
It was. I don't know if
Yeah.
I'd go down that road now, but it was back then.
The best for concerts in the 70s.
I've got one of the COVID
I
dogs.
don't
right
trust. I don't trust drugs now. I
Oh.
think
I wouldn't do it
right.
now. No.
So
Oh,
let me ask you this,
doggy.
Gumper,
doggy.
if you get COVID, does he like bite you or bark at you or anything?
So I joke. I
Is
tell
he gonna
everyone
rat
if,
you out?
if you have COVID, I tell them they bite your ankles.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
funny. So
No.
so if you bring a date over to the house and she's got COVID, does he like
Right
go,
outside. She's gone.
does the dog like make a sign or something?
Yeah, the dog will sit. It's
That's it?
Basically it's a glorified game of hide and seek. They found their treat, they get a treat.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you
And
keep
how
one at
about
home
the-
now?
How'd you get a COVID dog?
I have her. Well, so it's a long story, but we had between the Thriller fight and then the festival last weekend, we had too many dogs on site and not enough handlers to fly home with them all. So I took one back here, and I am gonna bring her back at some
Apparently you've grown fond of each other.
point. Oh yeah,
Yes.
my
What's her
dogs
name?
are so jealous.
I
Her
can only
name?
imagine.
Yeah.
Wait till the dog rats out your dogs for having COVID.
I walked her around the office today. I was like, all right, who's going home early?
Yeah, that's funny. That's pretty handy. Send me one of them.
It's cool, isn't it?
It-
Well,
Listen, we're selling them too. They're $100,000 a dog.
Oh,
What?
perfect.
Oh, it's a deal.
It is.
They have skills.
It's like a Ferrari.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
we
love them.
had we had one situation where we caught someone. It was at that fight we did. We caught someone that we knew was exposed, and 3 days later they tested positive.
That's wild.
So the
So it's
dog,
catching it before the tests are.
yeah, we've caught up to 5 days before tests, but
I don't know if it was you or
Focus
somebody
naturally.
else posted a picture of Justin Bieber petting your dogs.
Oh, yeah, he asked, he's like, "Can I pet the dogs?" I'm like, "Go for it." And he just laid down on the ground and was rolling.
And they both sit.
Yeah.
Both dogs sit, and it's like, hey, Bieber, you're out of here.
We checked him earlier.
Well, she looks like a sweetheart.
That show looked good, but God, it was pathetic. I mean, the fighting was pathetic. You know, I remember like when Jake Paul was in the fight and he like knocked the other dude out, and Snoop Dogg goes, "The motherfucker just kicked that motherfucker ass." This is the announcer at a professional boxing fight, right? And he's like,
I mean,
that
the one thing-
motherfucker knocked that motherfucker out, you know. And
The one thing I will say about it, they opened up a whole new demographic to fighting.
That's true. That's true. And now Jake Paul goes to all the UFC fights and just picks fights with everybody, right? Like
That was awesome. Yeah.
the Saturday night fight in Jacksonville, he was picking fights with Daniel Cormier, trying to get him involved. But the problem is these guys aren't boxers, so it's really kind of pointless and stupid. Like that thing was so dumb. It was, you know, the guy didn't stand a chance. He's a high school wrestler. He's not a boxer. So I don't know. It's funny. But
They all
somebody's
got
willing to pay
paid.
money. They all got paid.
Yep.
You got paid.
I've worked a lot of UFC fights at Amway Center, and
Oh, do
they're
you?
always sold out to the rafters. And it amazes me because they're hideous.
Well, to each his
Production
own.
is cool, usually.
To each his own. I don't like basketball.
Well,
I'm a big UFC fan, though.
Marcel likes to watch people beat the hell out of each other.
I do. I do.
Is Frank Gatto still using the same rig he's been using for the last 30
Yes.
years of you? God, that
Exact
thing-
same rig, dude. Hasn't changed.
I saw that rig on the ground and it had like duct tape, not even gaff tape, and like, you know, I mean, glue holding that thing
I mean,
together.
it's just they've gotten rid of some of the old products, but you know, it's the same outline, it's the same light placement. You know, now it's
Yeah, I
just
think-
LED bars.
I think that was actually George Smith's design back in like 1990.
They
Yeah,
still
it's like
use
the original
show guns on
boxing.
that?
It's like the original HBO boxing type rigs. You know,
Yep.
They still using shoguns on that rig?
no Shoguns.
I think they've moved up to Intellibeam 700s.
What was the guy that used to be like the production manager or whatever? Wasn't it George
Smith.
George Smith? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good friend of mine.
He's not there anymore, though, right?
No,
Didn't
he
used to work
died
with
for some
what's his
reason.
name, Rick?
Well, so you've got George
the guy
Smith and then
Philly.
Frank Gatto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I
So
remember
Frank-
I saw one of the really early, like, remember when UFC was just in like Alabama and
No,
Mississippi
Brazil.
and
That's
West
where George
Virginia?
started. They only could do it in Brazil when the Gracie
No,
family
but then
was
it came
involved.
to the U.S. and it was just in like Alabama and West Virginia or something,
Yep.
right? That's the only place they could get approved to have the fights. And then, you know, Dana White, I mean, knock the guy all you want, but pretty brilliant business move coming in and cleaning it up a bit and bought it for $2 million, sold it for $4 billion. Small profit.
Because Fertitas own it now, right?
Yeah, well, and Dana's still got a piece.
No,
but
they sold.
no, they still have it, don't they? Oh no, they sold it. Yeah.
They did?
Yeah, they
think so.
sold it to buy the Palms, which actually just sold today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Lost a couple billion on that.
Who bought the Palms?
San Manuel.
Who's that?
What's going on with the Seminoles and Hard Rock? Is that thing a thing?
What do you mean?
I heard that the Seminoles are looking to buy someplace and rebrand it to the Hard Rock in
I've heard,
Vegas.
yeah, there's been a lot of talk about them coming to town out here. We don't know what it is.
Why didn't they just keep the Hard Rock? Wouldn't that have been easier?
Because they sold
They kept
it.
They kept the
You're
name.
so practical,
Yeah.
Marcel.
They kept the
Yeah.
name and they still have the Hard Rock Cafe in Vegas. They just don't have the hotel and gambling, which
Actually, I don't think they have the cafe. I think they sold all the cafes, didn't they? I'm
Isn't
pretty
there
sure
one
they
still
sold
in-
all the cafes.
I thought there was one still in Vegas.
No,
I
they
thought-
they still exist, but I don't think the Seminoles own
Yeah,
the
I don't think the
cafes. I think they
Seminoles
just
own
have the hotels and
Got it.
casinos.
Matt, but they
Marcel,
still
I
have the
think
round
The
you're
bar,
right.
restaurant business isn't profitable enough for them.
I think you're right, Marcel. Seminoles
Yeah,
are
I
just the
think-
hotels. And I did also hear that they were looking for something out west. But isn't the Virgin Hotel, aka what used to be our Hard Rock, isn't that now called the Virgin Hotel?
Yeah,
Correct.
It
that's
is.
dead to us all.
Mhm.
And I hear it looks really, I don't know. Has anyone been? Has anyone
Yeah.
been to the new?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went. It's
Stinks.
yeah, the circle bar's a hallway now, so it's dead to us.
It's dead to us.
Is there good restaurants there or anything though?
Now,
Yeah, I mean, Nobu was really solid, as is usually the case, but
Yeah.
they
Nobu,
lucked out because the Virgin's not a union hotel. So one of the big issues that's happening in Vegas right now is in all the major casinos, the culinary union versus the wait staff union. The wait staff union walled themselves off, which basically means that they gave up their seniority so that everybody on staff could get some work. The culinary union refused to do that. And what that means is that it based solely on seniority of how long you've been there and your tenure, means that most of the chefs that are now working at the higher end restaurants up until the pandemic were working in the employee dining room slinging mac and cheese. So for instance, my wife and I went to Craft Steak a few weeks ago in MGM, which is arguably the finest steakhouse in Las Vegas. The entire meal, the menu, everything was dumbed down because the head chef has to make a menu that can be prepared by this line staff. And pulling his hair out of his head. We had a long conversation with a friend of ours.
that's every hotel?
All the ones that are dealing
Wow.
with culinary unions. Yeah,
That's frightening.
it's really challenging.
I mean, I don't even like, Starbucks in union airports and stuff where, you don't get your normal baristas, you get some airport worker, right?
Yeah.
Making your coffee.
It's really challenging, and it shows because the restaurants have fought two major battles, that being the culinary union issue, and then one of just procurement of ingredients, because everything's been rather difficult to get
Right.
Because of trucking issues.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. That'll keep me out of union hotels for dinners anyway.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean,
That's going to really hurt the high-end restaurants.
Yeah, they can't make fries. Literally, there's some for certain restaurants, and it's not for everybody. I think it has to do with some sort of health department kitchen layout or setup thing. There's a loophole somewhere where certain restaurants aren't allowed to use the fryers to make French fries. So Craft Steak can't do it. Last night we were over at the Wynn at the SW Steakhouse, and they were able to do them and had them on the menu. So it changes from place to place. It's very strange.
Interesting.
The quality of everything that they've done, to the better than anybody else for sure, but they still face the same challenges.
Is that a taco joint still at the Virgin, or did they get rid of that?
I think taco. No, I think that.
Yeah. It's a different Mexican place. They just rebranded it.
Got it.
So we could rent 10,000 square feet across the street from the Virgin Hotel and open the Circle Bar and replicate the entire image.
Well,
and
across the
bring
street used
all
to be a
the-
strip club. What was that place called? I forget.
Pure Platinum. I mean, that's what my
No.
friends told me.
No. No, what was it called? It was run by the Chicago mobster guy, the one across the street from the Hard Rock.
That was Dennis's place.
Yeah.
Dennis, yeah.
It wasn't Showgirls, was it?
No.
Platinum.
No.
Platinum?
Oh my God, I can't believe I forget what it was called. It was
Is it
there
still
for quite a while.
Is
So what's
that
going
a
to be the replacement for the Circle Bar? Where would you now suggest?
Gumper's house.
Yeah.
Gumper's
Good
house,
idea.
which is the other 10,000
Patrick's
square
house.
foot place.
He ain't coming here.
You ain't coming here. Jesus, thanks,
Did-
Patrick.
did that tiki bar and that strip mall survive?
I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, that's
That
still
place
there.
was so great. I remember going there with with like Tiffany Spicer Keys for her birthday with a bunch of people during, I think it was LDI. That place was awesome.
Yeah, it's a popular joint. Oh wait, there were two of them. There's the main one.
Club Paradise.
I was just gonna, I just found it. Yeah, the Paradise Club.
Yep.
Club Paradise.
Of course.
Not that I know, but I mean, I heard of it once.
Hey, it's way better than a tiki bar. You're talking about a tiki bar. We're talking about something way more important, Matt.
TT bar.
Don't you have
can get drinks at both. I'm just saying.
All right, let me drop a reality bomb on everybody from your strip clubs and your fucking tiki bars. Who went and signed up for the SVOG, and how was the process for you?
You know what's so funny? I was just going to ask you that because, you know, I wrote a blog about it, and I doubt anybody read it, but I'm pissed off about how that whole thing went down, because the fact that 90+% of our industry was blocked from obtaining any funding from that, while the other 5 or 6% not only got funding, they got government grants, free money. To no end pisses me off. I mean, it's unbelievable how disgusting it is.
Isn't that a NEVA push? Wasn't that a push from NEVA?
Yeah, I mean, it was, NEVA had their lobbyists working, you know, with Schumer and et cetera, and that whole gang. And
I mean, I will, Strickland emailed me and he was like, I'm sure he emailed most of us on this. And he was like, you qualify, you should apply. But then when they were like, the paperwork is just would bury any of us.
No, but in the end, nobody but venue owners and operators, and it got real skinny at the end. So, you know, Strickland was telling us all, you know, because we're, you know, we're operators in production and blah, 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 everyone can fit into this thing. But in the end, they flipped us all the bird, and venue owners are going to get really rich. And so, I mean, it's so much more disgusting than most people are aware of. A lot of these venue owners, not only are they very wealthy, but they're creating like these real estate trust funds where they're buying up other venues for the simple purpose of maximizing the amount of SGOV or SVOG money they're getting. I mean, it really is disgusting what's going on. It's a money grab by a very small group of people.
And, I mean, I will say there are a couple theater companies that I was forwarding, like theaters that I've designed at, that I was forwarding all this information to.
Those people, great. I'm glad they got the money. I'm glad they got the money.
And I mean,
a huge percentage of these people didn't need the money. This was not need-based. It was greed-based. You know, it was very much based on a money grab from a group of people who don't need the money. And I mean, there's people, I won't mention exact names, but there's, you know, a particular manager who's been around for a long time and at one point was called the Fifth Eagle and stuff like that, who is worth, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars potentially, who, you know, gets a grant. He's getting an SVOG grant. You know, there are many millionaires getting SVOG grants. Wow. So our tax dollars are paying for it, and our industry is suffering for it. I mean, it's disgusting. I was sick to my stomach, you know, and I've been talking to Strickland almost every day about this. I'm pissed, but nothing we can do about it. You know, government decided, and boom, here we go.
I tried to forward Strickland's messages to and make a coherent posting, but every time I got ready to do it, he would send out a new email with new info, or he would retract info. So because I'm not sure like what exactly is good or right or current.
Well, the whole thing was
it certainly does. It certainly does come off like one of the most unorganized, fucked up things.
They're a joke.
No, they're a joke. Following, you know, do this. This is what it says that, and then no, they're doing that. I mean, it you know. It's a
I mean, they see a Gumper. They just absolutely couldn't figure out their ass from a hole in the ground. They screwed it up in every way possible. But I mean, you know, Congress passing it as quickly and weirdly as they did, the whole thing was just done under a cloak of you know, just bullshit. I mean, I'm pissed off. As a taxpayer, I'm pissed off, but as a person in this industry, there's a lot of companies and people, like, I talk to so many people, a few of you on here, but, I talk to Cosmo almost every day. I mean, people who literally, like, Cosmo is a good friend. Cosmo hasn't worked in a year, and Cosmo borrowed money just to pay his bills and stuff. He took out a loan just to pay his bills. This guy isn't getting a grant. Why are multimillionaires getting grants when they own real estate that has appreciated in value during COVID? And I mean, it's just disgusting. I'm so pissed.
Welcome
off
to the
about this thing.
system. Welcome to the system. It's been like that for
it's
years. The rich
ridiculous.
get richer and the middle class gets
That's got nothing to
squashed
do
and
with the
have
rich
to poor.
getting richer. It's just, it's
Of course it
selecting
does.
a
It's where
group.
the-
No, it isn't, because there's a lot of rich people in our industry who are not going to benefit from this program. They selected
tell
a
me-
very small group of people in our industry and basically said, the rest of you go away. We're not interested. Even though the
And-
verbiage of the law says that we were included. So
Okay, so let's just
Rant
counter
over.
that, and let's just counter that and say, if these people who don't need the money, who really want to be a part of and help people in the industry and do something philanthropic, would take that money that they get in a grant, whether it's legal, illegal, or immoral, and turn it to the people who need it, perhaps they would be a little less greedy, and perhaps we could be a little more sympathetic. But as I look at it, it's people who are able to take advantage of a situation for their own self-gain and not give
Anyway.
a shit about the people who are suffering. And that's exactly what you're saying, Marcel. That's why you're
well, it
pissed.
is,
That's why I'm
but
pissed.
it's not just rich people. It's just they picked a very specific, like if they said only lighting companies that end in "and it," then they would be obviously filtering out the rest of the entire industry and selecting just one or two companies, right? I'd
So
change
But
my
here's
name
the
to
thing is, I
Gambit, by the
seriously
way.
doubt that you have any 25-year-old or 35-year-old touring tech hand that is in a position of being a venue owner. So, excuse me for using the word rich, but in order to be an owner, you have to have a certain amount of wealth accumulated or really fucking great credit.
So am I the only
No.
one that got an application in?
Perhaps.
I think so.
I did
I
not,
didn't.
and perhaps you did. I don't
No,
know.
I mean, because we got to the part where you got to have box office ticket sales and stuff, and we don't have that. I don't know how you do, but
I
Well,
don't.
I read a lot of Michael's instructions, and he was basically saying in so many of the instructions that according to the way it was intended, that if you qualify, you should put yes. And even if they ask you, X, Y, and Z, to still answer in this manner. At least that's what I gathered. But
yeah.
no, I did
Anyways,
not apply.
once you get into the application, that's not how it works. So
Nice.
Okay,
I don't know
so-
how you got through it unless you just flat out
I'm
lied,
interested to
Patrick.
hear Mr. Dearson's
Yeah,
response.
me too.
So one of the questions is sort of led to that. They asked you to provide your own document of an explanation of something. And so I utilized that as it went further down with those questions. So when it got to box office things, I specifically wrote a document and uploaded it explaining why we don't have access to those things while still being a manager of those productions that happen
Yeah.
within the venue. And that we still do manage sound technicians, lighting technicians, the system itself, and so on and so forth. So I just did clear explanations of those things.
So
Created
you're just going to
a
get a
doc-
longer rejection.
Probably.
It's going to take
That's
you a little
probably-
longer to get
Well,
a no.
I
Well,
get what
I-
you're saying, Patrick. You had to
Yeah.
do what you had to do to fit in the peg hole that was available. You had to shape your answer to fit into their hole, essentially.
Well, very much so in terms of the concept of the technicality of putting something forward. It's not so much about whether or not you fit the peg in the hole. It's about understanding that there are flaws in the technology of how this is set up, meaning it's a website made by the government. We've never seen any of those actually work very well. So you have to figure out how to navigate that yourself. So if
Yeah.
this is the case and you guys are feeling like you don't stand a chance, I highly recommend you at least give it a shot. Like, okay, I may get rejected, but maybe I won't.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Well, God
You know,
knows.
you
they-
definitely-
And if 10 of
Anything
us apply,
you don't
it might be that, 1 in 10 wins.
I mean,
Yeah.
do you really think, I mean, how much money is it?
Congratulate him.
$18 billion or something like?
No,
like,
no, they
isn't there?
promised to continue funding it though, Matt.
So I mean,
They're going to
maybe
just
we'll
keep pulling
see-
money out of some hole.
Maybe we'll see
somewhere.
another. Maybe we'll see another round where we can hit
Well,
it.
that's
I mean, who
what
knows?
Strickland said. That was Strickland's latest message was, just keep writing letters, keep doing this, keep doing that. I continue to have meetings with these senators and stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, could we be any less confident in our
I mean,
elected
like,
officials? I don't know.
At some, I mean, at some point though, do we then, like, when these venue operators come to us, do we make it easy? You know what I mean? And say, yes, we love your work, or do we say, fuck you? I mean, I don't know.
Well, yeah, but you know how that goes, Matt. You say no, and 5 other people right behind you will say, hell yeah.
We'll say yes.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm putting a tip jar next to the lighting console.
there you go. That's a good idea.
I think that's a
good
good
You
idea.
can't say,
I've,
you gotta
I've already
say-
added one to
Bob,
the
it's
Gear
getting
Source
dark on
checkout.
stage.
Clear, the thing's not closed. You can still apply.
What's that?
You can still
Right.
apply for this thing. It's not
Yeah.
closed. It's not like you have to start writing your congressman to ask for another boost of another round of this thing. It's still,
Patrick?
but then the question becomes, how many more businesses close? Because
Well, that's the
they
scary
could-
thing, and I talk to them every day, Matt. And
Yeah.
Well,
so I mean, the
hopefully-
thing was with him with Strickland, right up until just a couple of days ago, Strickland was telling me, apply. Everybody needs to apply. Suppliers are going to be accepted.
No, I
Suppliers are
think-
going to be accepted.
I don't
And then
think
all of a
that's true.
sudden, 2 days ago, he said, I just don't see an angle where suppliers are going to get into this.
Yeah.
And it was like, what?
well, it's because he's been fighting
Hey, John.
and talking to these people directly who are supposed to be creating it. And, you have a conversation with somebody and then they go and have a conversation with somebody else and fuck it all up. But for that time, it looks like it's going to happen. I'll tell you
Yeah.
this, my wife aptly put it, the hour we've spent bullshitting it, you could have filled out your applications, gotten a chance. So I highly recommend you guys give it a shot. Don't just lay there.
I might give you a call. We'll see where that goes. That'd be really helpful. Thanks.
Happy to help.
Yeah.
I mean, Dearson, I don't know your corporate structure, but as a freelancer,
Neither does
as
the
a
IRS.
designer-
What money?
I mean, but as a freelance, how do you fit in? Like, how does a designer who, as Strickland said to me, and he wrote I'm sure we all got it, a very well-structured email pointing out the flaws. Like, I don't know. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
My
So let me
company
give you some.
does
let
all
me
of
give you a
those
different
things
angle.
without owning a
Gear.
property.
Yeah.
We manage the venue. The venue has all of the things that are stated in that venue. Any
Yeah.
space that I go to is a performance space with a
course.
designated performance area, with a lighting system, a sound system, a ticket system. The payments are all based on the ticket sales. It's all of those things
Yeah.
all fall into that, and we manage that. That's what my company does for a living, and we manage it on just about every level.
But if you're strictly a lighting company, that's a harder stretch, because I'm not in production management and I don't run all the various entities.
True, but you also manage that lighting system, and you manage the personnel that run that system. You manage the technicians, you manage the staff. You're a large portion of the management of any venue that's operating, having to put on a production. They require that. If they're not doing that themselves, so if you're a house of blues and you've got installation, you're a self-contained thing. But what makes us eligible are that we are those components for those venues that don't have any of that. And that's the whole thing that Strickland had written to everybody.
Well, yeah, I mean, the challenge is that the law is clear but the application of the law is very different. And so the SBA has decided to apply the law differently than it was written by Congress. You know, when Congress wrote the SVOG, it was very different than what you know, what is being applied by the SBA. So anyways, I mean, I'm happy to hear that you got it through. Please, Patrick, continue to keep at least me and others who are interested posted on, you know, if you get an email back, what does the email say, you know, that kind of thing. Because at this point, I guess it's us against them. But I'm just disgusted by how hard the other side fought, because this wasn't just the SBA going, no, you people don't apply. This was somebody else saying, don't let them in. You know, whatever you do, don't let these people in.
I mean, it's the same issue I'm dealing with the SBA, just trying to get that extra $9,000 from the EIDL. You know, they have very specific. If your business needs to be in a neighborhood that is under 30 or over 30% poverty, right? Well, a block north of me and a block south of me is where my office is, which is my apartment, is in that level. But my block, for some strange reason, is not. And I still applied, and I said, you know, like, here are my financials, and they put a chart on, you fill in what you make every month and to show the loss. And I'm hoping that they just see, when they look at it, they're like, well, a block north and a block south is in that poverty level, so hopefully they'll give it to me. I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Well, another approach, for whatever it's worth, another approach is the fact that in the SVOG, one who gets this has $100,000 to spend on production people. So it's a good idea to go and approach all those entities that are getting this and suggesting what you could do for them.
Isn't it up to 10 million? Not 100,000, it's $10 million. You know, I mean,
no, but that's what they get.
No, but I'm saying those are potentials to go to potentially work right now, where there's no consistent income.
Yeah.
So anyways.
No, I agree with you. That's the sort of perfect world scenario. The problem is most of these are not most. I don't have any math to suggest that it's most or half or a little bit, but there's a lot of these sort of corporate giants who have created these little REITs and stuff to put these venues into so that they can maximize the amount of cash they can get. And that money ain't going back to lighting companies or sound companies or anybody else. It's going into their profits, period. You know,
I'm kind of bummed to see all the independent promoters and venue owners that are going to shutter up, and Live Nation and AEG are going to buy their venues. You know, that's kind of sad to me.
Well, that's happening to lighting companies, sound companies.
Yeah,
you know, it's happening to everybody, unfortunately.
You get the real family vibe when you go into that venue. It has it has a feel, a vibe, you know,
a smell,
a smell.
Yeah.
But
some of these venues really do smell.
Stale beer.
What is that smell? It's horrible. I remember I saw what's Pantera. I saw Pantera at the Santa Monica Civic Center, and that place, like the concrete goes like that towards the stage. I don't know if it's because they want the blood to roll down to the gutters at the bottom or what it is, but what a crowd that was. Like, everybody had their shirts off. It stunk and it was sweaty, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I don't even know why I was there, but. And I remember I don't remember who it was. It was like the drum tech or something from Pantera. I was with, I might've been with Randy Wade, and
like Keith Mitchell and Randy Wade and
something. Somebody comes running up. Were you there?
No, but I remember something about this.
Somebody came running up to us and goes, "Hey, have you got a coat hanger?" And we're like, "What?" And he goes, "Oh, me and her." And he's got like this 19-year-old girl with him. "We're going to do some branding. Have you got a coat hanger?" And we're like, no, we don't have a coat hanger. I was like, no, I'm leaving now. Bye.
Oh, Lord.
Santa Monica Civic Center. That was a weird place. You must have had Bet there at one point, Peter. Or Barbara.
Yeah, been in there several times, but I don't remember which artist I was there with. It's been a while.
It seems much more like a metal place. Like it doesn't seem like a place where Barbara Streisand had
Well, I
played.
don't think she ever worked in there.
No, she's more like the Greek theater. Or...
One gig comes to mind, and it was a charity thing run by all the Hollywood celebrities, and I was there doing lighting. Oh God, who was the main attraction? I actually think it was Kenny Rogers or somebody like that. And
Yeah.
they were on stage, and Peter Falk comes walking up to me, drunk as a skunk, and he said, "Hey, it's too fucking loud. Turn it down." I said, "Hey man, I don't do sound." He said, "What?" I said, "I don't do sound. I do lights." He says, "Well, it's too fucking bright too."
That's awesome.
Peter,
That's fantastic.
Peter, I have a story. We were in Hamburg, Germany with Alice in Chains, and it's an outdoor park. And there's a noise ordinance where you can only be like 96 dB. And all the fans were yelling at me because my audio guy was so embarrassed. Like, he was like, "I want to mix a show like a rock show." And he had his full back monitors and he was hiding behind the console. And I'm the one guy next to him. And all these Germans are yelling at me in German to turn up the music. And I'm wearing a GLP shirt that says "Licked" on the back. So I just turn around and I'm like, "I know nothing." I know
That's
nothing.
funny.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it's funny.
Does anyone remember the Tabernacle in Atlanta?
Matt, did you have to pay extra to get like the high quality Wi-Fi?
Because he
I
didn't
just
pay
lost
it.
it. What?
He didn't pay
Give
it.
him a break. Give him a break. He's in Cyprus, for crying out loud.
The
This is
dial-up
bullshit.
Wi-Fi ain't, or dial-up Wi-Fi ain't
Dude, this
working
is
so good.
Cyprus.
You know, it was
the
pretty funny.
Tabernacle in Atlanta, is that a... Sorry.
I
Greeks
remember
don't have a
that.
word
Shut
for
up.
Wi-Fi or taxes.
I was there with Robert Roth and Lenny Kravitz at the Tabernacle. That was a cool place.
It's a great venue.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's independent. Is it independent or is that a Live Nation? No.
I don't know.
But it's
So
I just
few
remember
are independent now.
I just remember the load in, they just put truck ramps and it's like this, and it's just a bunch of dudes that just are heave-hoing cases. I'm like, holy shit. But it's a great venue to do a show. Like just the vibe of the room is awesome.
Peter, who you got with you there?
See, Marsh.
Teddy.
Oh,
See you guys. See you next week in Wildflower. Have a good
Aloha.
week, everybody.
Take
bye,
care,
Marcia.
Drive safe.
Thanks. Bye.
Look at the ears.
Bye.
The dog knows when we're talking about him. The ears go boing.
That's Penny.
I like how you guys were talking about drugs and the drug dog just jumps into the picture, you know?
Yeah, that's funny.
So you guys, when I was first signing on, although late today, you guys were talking about Japan in a different manner, but yeah. So I'm gonna teach you a couple things. Secrets of the trade. So first off, my card, and you can't see this, is in katakana. Katakana is phonetic Japanese, which means that you don't give them your name, but they can pronounce your name.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. So I've had, as soon as I give that card to them, they say, "Well, do you speak Japanese?" And my response to them, through a translator usually is no, no. But it's out of respect to you. That's interesting. So one of the interesting things that you're going to find, two things, and again, I've done this for a long time, so it's perhaps true that my knowledge could be dated, but interesting when you meet production people, one group meets another one, and you don't know who's the boss, you don't know who's the lighting guy, who's the runner, and that kind of thing. And there's a tendency, because Americans have a tendency to try to, you meet the first person you meet, you try to make friends with, right? And that's the way that goes. So, he's getting along with Shisu-san, whatever that name is. So he must be a clerk. So the reality is, whenever you go into these meetings, have a hierarchy of questions. As soon as you say, I'm not sure who I should talk to, but I'm a little concerned because they're only opening the doors 45 minutes before. It's during traffic and people have to go through a light. If we don't let them get into the parking lot beforehand, it's going to affect things. And that guy turns that you first met, and he'll bring the next person up. And so it will happen to the third person. So it will happen to the fourth person. If you have this thought in mind of how to be a little more involved, that each step is going to move you one ladder, you will find yourself, at dinner with a vice president at times. But if you make friends with the very first one, you'll be, that's where he's at, because there's an idea they like to build a structure. So
Interesting.
So the other one that's interesting, of course, the worst thing an American can do, aside from showing up late, and I really, really suggest you show up early, because if you show up late, you probably lost the deal already. But the worst thing an American can do, is we often have seen people, is to take their business card to the people that are there at the table, and they'll pass their card out like a deck of cards, which is completely not the respectful thing to do. Your card, it's the only analogy I can make is it's your tombstone. It is the collective of everything that you've done to get where you are now. Each one is to be presented in front of each person individually. And if you've managed to do this hierarchy step first, you already know who to show the card to first, because that's the most important move. But now if you really want to perplex and change the nature of the game, because each card will be presented to you, lay out those cards at that table. Let's say there's 8 people sitting at this table. Lay out the cards, even for the English and your friends that you know. And you will lay the cards out in a semicircle, each one lining up with the faces of the people across from them. Holy shit, this guy really wants to build a relationship with me. And you'll find them emulating you. And you silence the room, though you said nothing yet. That's my lesson for the day.
Damn, Bob.
Katakana is their means of writing Western names and words that are pronounced in Japanese. The hiragana is their classic alphabet.
Right.
Hiragana.
Interesting. Yeah, I got to be honest. I have screwed up so many cultural things when I've gone to other countries. Not on purpose and not disrespectfully or anything, but just being stupid, and going, hey, like I remember a friend of mine who's a Muslim. He's a very wealthy guy, and I went with him and sat in his box seats at Polo and here in Wellington. And he introduced me to his wife. And of course, I tried to do the kiss on both cheeks things, right? Well, with Muslims, you're not even supposed to acknowledge them, let alone kiss them on the cheek. I mean, this is like sacrilege, right? And so she was very kind about it. She let me kiss her on both cheeks. And then afterwards, she goes, by the way, Marcel, in some places you would be murdered for doing what you did. Wow. And I said, what did I do? Did I take your drink? Did I eat the last peanut? What did I do? And she said, no, you can't kiss a woman who's another man's wife like this, and especially in a public place. And I'm like, really? So I had no idea. And I mean, I've done that so many times, but
in that society, even the husband wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I know. That's basically what she told me. I mean, I don't know, and plus we're in Wellington, friggin' Florida. It's not like we're in, somewhere else where that would be a bigger issue, where I might have gotten murdered on the spot, skewered. So
Hey guys, do you think I'm gonna, for 2 days, do you think this is enough coffee cups?
are you only
I don't
allowed to
know.
drink coffee? Did they give you like a bottle of scotch at the airport or something?
No,
Duty free?
no.
Come
Look
on,
at
man.
this shit. Discovering all the hidden things they put in my hotel room. This is great.
Yeah, you probably got like 14 rolls of toilet paper. Just take those. You might need them when you get back to America. Who knows?
Just slow down, Matt. You got 14 days to go.
Did you find the
Yeah,
camera?
yeah.
Don't explore everything at once.
I'm here for 2 days, and then when we get on the cruise ship, they give me a free 6-pack every day.
Oh, there you go.
But this is ridiculous.
That's a lot of coffee.
Anyway, Bob, that was a great story, by the way.
Yeah, Bob, that was amazing, as usual.
Yeah.
As usual. I mean, I think we have to start some sort of a weekly episode of, Bob. Just call it Bob.
Yeah.
Coffee
What
talk
about Bob?
with Bob.
Coffee
Yeah.
talk.
Bob's Coffee Talk. Sponsored by
Hails
Cone
from
Coffee.
Hawaii.
So Marcel,
yeah.
I've noticed you're on Facebook lately. You've been commenting and the like. It's great.
You
Haven't
know,
seen you there in
so
a long
rarely though,
time.
like I'm still not actually on Facebook. It's just
Hmm.
once a week or once every couple of weeks I go on and, the usual suspects pop to the top. And if I see anything fun, I'll comment on it or like it or whatever. And then I jump back off. It's just so hateful. I don't know.
Wait, speaking of which, I mean, you actually sent me some support because I write these stories that I publish under my name on Thursdays. As a matter of fact, my dear friend, Mr. Warren, was helping me on one that you'll start seeing tomorrow. But then I decided, maybe I'll put this to the Everything Stage Lighting page. But I've seen people get really, really beat up. There's almost like there's some people that aren't even really reading the topic of things. So I kind of laid it out at the top and I said, look, I'm going to give this a shot, but if you're not interested, just let me know. I'm
I
off,
remember that.
you know?
Yeah.
And you supported me, and I thought that was a warm and fuzzy moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, I understand people getting pissed off if somebody comes in there with a political statement or something stupid, but your stories they have value and they're usually based on lighting and production and events and stuff. Your stories are good. I think people should read them. We got to publish Bob's stories.
No,
Share them.
I'm ready to write a book.
Well, get on it, man.
I just
You should have
looking for
time
help
right
to
now.
do it.
Hopefully you won't have time for long.
No, but I've got a lot of stories now. Anyways, this isn't about me, other than that I'm going to say, so good to see you guys, but I've got to go.
All of us have to go.
So
Aloha,
I'm going to
people.
say aloha.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Ciao, everybody.